Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we are diving into a fascinating topic that sits right at the heart of ancient history and faith. How did the world around the ancient Israelites shape their own unique ways of worship? It's a story of influence, identity, and the constant dance between blending in and standing out. So, grab a cup of tea, get comfortable, and let's journey back in time together. To really get this, we need a picture of the ancient Near East. It wasn't an empty landscape. Israel was a small nation, a cultural crossroads, surrounded by massive, powerful empires like Egypt to the south and the various Mesopotamian empires like Assyria and Babylonia to the east. And right next door were the Canaanites, the Philistines, the Moabites, and others. It was a bustling, interconnected world, and ideas traveled along the same trade routes as spices and pottery. Religion was woven into the fabric of everyday life for everyone, so it's only natural that there would be some cultural exchange. Let's start with the most direct neighbors, the Canaanites. Before the Israelites established their kingdom, Canaan was home to a polytheistic religion centered on a pantheon of gods. The head of this pantheon was often a high god called El, and one of the most prominent and active deities was Baal, the god of storms, rain, and fertility. Now, think about it. If you're an early Israelite farmer, your entire livelihood depends on the rain. When your neighbors are all performing rituals to bow to ensure a good harvest, the pressure to join in, or at least adopt similar practices, would have been immense. This is something the Hebrew Bible talks about a lot. The prophets are constantly warning the people against going after other gods and worshiping on the high places. These high places were often open-air hilltop shrines, a common feature of Canaanite worship. The Israelites adopted this practice, sometimes dedicating them to their own god, Yahweh. But other times, they were used for the worship of deities like Balanda, goddess Asherah. The struggle wasn't just about which god to worship, but how to worship. The very idea of using idols or carved images, which was central to Canaanite and most other ancient religions, became a major point of contention within Israelite faith, which was trying to define itself by the worship of one invisible God. Now, let's look south to the powerhouse that was Egypt. For centuries, Egypt exerted massive political and cultural influence over the region. You can see this influence in some surprising places. Think about the Ark of the Covenant. The Bible describes it as a golden chest carried on poles. This design is strikingly similar to the ceremonial barks or portable shrines used in Egyptian religious processions to carry statues of their gods. It's possible that the Israelites adapted a familiar, respected form from a dominant culture and repurposed it for their own unique, monotheistic belief, making the sacred object a throne for their invisible god rather than a container for an idol. Even some of the language used in the Psalms, particularly those praising God as the creator and sustainer of the universe, shares themes and poetic structures with earlier Egyptian hymns, like the great hymn to Aten. This doesn't mean they copied it, but rather that they were part of a shared literary and cultural environment. They were using familiar tools to express a radically different message. Moving east, we encounter the great empires of Mesopotamia, like Assyria and Babylonia. When they conquered a nation, they didn't just demand taxes. They often imposed their culture and religion. The Assyrians, for example, would sometimes place symbols of their chief god, Ashur, in the temples of the peoples they conquered. We see hints of this pressure in the biblical account of King Ahaz of Judah, who, after visiting the Assyrian king in Damascus, was so impressed by an altar he saw there that he had a copy of it built in the temple in Jerusalem. This was a clear example of royal policy being influenced by the need to please a powerful overlord, leading to the introduction of foreign religious furniture right into the heart of Israelite worship. The Babylonian exile was, of course, the most dramatic and transformative of these encounters. When the elite of Judean society were forcibly relocated to Babylon, they were immersed in a world dominated by the worship of gods, like Ma. They saw the magnificent ziggurats, the elaborate festivals, and the complex system of astrology and divination. This experience could have crushed their faith. Instead, it seems to have strengthened and refined it. Being surrounded by such a powerful and seemingly successful polytheistic culture forced the Israelite scribes and thinkers to double down on what made them unique. It was during this period of exile that large portions of the Hebrew Bible were likely written down and edited. They articulated their creation story, their history, and their laws with a new clarity and purpose. Monotheism became more than just a belief. It became a core marker of their identity in a foreign land. They defined their God not as a local deity tied to a specific temple, which was now destroyed, but as the universal God of all creation, who was present with them even in exile. The development of the synagogue as a place of prayer and study, away from the central temple, was a revolutionary adaptation born out of this necessity. It was a way to maintain their religious community and identity without a physical temple, a direct response to their historical circumstances. So what can we take away from all of this? The religious practices of the Israelites didn't develop in a vacuum. They were in a constant dialogue with the cultures around them. Sometimes this led to syncretism, a blending of beliefs and practices. Other times, the influence of their neighbors prompted a reaction, a conscious effort to purify their worship and clearly define what made them different. This dynamic tension is what makes their story so compelling. It shows that faith isn't static. It responds, adapts, and evolves in the face of new challenges and ideas. The Israelites took architectural forms, literary styles, and even religious concepts from their neighbors and, through a process of rejection, adaptation, and reinterpretation, forged them into something entirely new and enduring. It is a powerful reminder of how our own beliefs and identities are shaped by the world we live in. Thank you so much for joining me on this historical journey today. It's a huge topic, and we've only scratched the surface, but I hope it's given you some food for thought. If you found this interesting, please give the video a thumbs up. And do you forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next exploration into the past. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I love hearing from you. Until next time, stay curious.